Hey, and welcome to another Tech Tuesday. This is Chad from Ascension Worship. This week we're going to talk a little bit more about getting a proper sound check.
Hey, what do you say? Yes, it's that time again. It's Tech Tuesday.
Now, what I'm going to talk you through is the way we did it in college and the way I do it with the teams I work with now. It's going to be a little different depending on the size and scope of your team. So take what you will, but the important thing is that you do the same thing every time. So whenever I start a sound check, first thing I do is make sure that they can hear my talkback microphone and to make sure they can hear the music director or the worship leader, because those guys are going to be on your side. And if they can hear them, then they can help direct, like, hey, Johnny, you're next, make sure you're ready. And it's gonna make your job a lot easier. So start by just making sure that there's effective communication all the way around. Once we've done that, we're gonna hop into the drums. What I found is very effective, we did this overseas in the college I went to, is start with time on the drums. And what that is just a groove with kick, snare, and hats. Those instruments really kind of gel together and make the drum kit. It's a lot faster than just doing kick, just doing snare, just doing overheads. You can do all three of those at the same time, and it just makes things a bit quicker. It's a lot more fun for the drummer who's playing, and it gives them a better representation of what their ears are going to sound like. After that, then you can do the individual tom drums. You can do any extras that you might have, like an auxiliary snare. Maybe there's an electronic element to the kit, like triggers or like an SPDS pad or something. You can do those, and then finally you're going to do the entire kit all together. Next is bass, and again, if the bass player is using any pedals or anything like that, they can go through and check all those, start at full volume. After that, usually go to the electric guitars, and I go from house left to house right. So everyone should know who's what guitar. If you know people's names, use names, but positions are really important as well. And again, full volume from the top. You're gonna hear me say this a lot. Whatever your loudest tone is, and then cycle through any patches that you have and do that for each guitar. Next is acoustic guitar. Full volume, the loudest strum that they have. If they do a lot of finger picking, it'd probably be a good idea to have them sound check finger picking as well, because that could have effect on your gates or compression that you have. It's just good for you to hear that if they do a lot of that kind of thing. Next is keys. Keys are kind of interesting. In modern worship now, there's a lot of really interesting synth patches that are happening. If you have a new keyboardist and they're not really good at that yet, you could be shooting yourself in the foot by trying to EQ the synth patches first, because you might not know what they actually should sound like. So what I always do is I always have them start by playing a piano patch, because we all kind of know what a piano should sound like. Unless they're doing like a honky-tonk kind of thing, you know what a good sounding piano should sound like, so you can get your EQ set for that and then listen to their synth patches, and then you'll kind of have more of an idea of, you know, without having to do a whole bunch of EQ over and over again, what they should sound like. There's also a really important time to listen to the volume differences between the patches and let the keyboardist know, hey, this one's too quiet, this one's too loud. Especially if there's a lot of low-end information, they might not be able to tell in their in-ears, but when you have a subwoofer going, you can give them some quick tips of what needs to be turned up, what needs to be turned down, what needs to be brighter, what needs to be darker, those kinds of things. Finally, as far as the band goes, I always end with the click and loop. And the reason why I do this is because now the band members have an idea of what their instrument is volume-wise in their ears. So again, I play bass. I now know, okay, the bass is at this volume. I like the click to be just below the volume that I run my bass at. And now I have a reference from that to work with. If you start by checking click or never check click, that could be an issue. So I like to do that at the end of all the other instruments. It just makes things go a little bit easier. This is kind of preference, but if you have a large team, before the vocals start getting on stage, I like to do a band check with just the band members. If there's someone on stage that sings, great. They can sing along so the band knows where they are in the song. But we're going to do a proper vocal check right after that. So let's start with just the band check. It can be a full song, it can be a chorus, whatever is going to get the most for you and for the guys on stage. So check all the band, and then if they need any adjustments made up or down, do those real quick, and then you're going to hop into the vocal sound check. Vocal sound check I find works best if you take keys or acoustic and just have them cycle a chorus and have all the vocals, again, I say this every time, full volume, needs to sing through a chorus and just cycle it over and over again until you're happy. It's gonna feel awkward for them, so you need to do what you can to help them. What you can do for that is try to never have just one person's voice in the PA. You can have one person at the top, one person really loud, but if you turn the keys down, the band down, that person, if they're not, very comfortable, might feel very awkward, and then they're not gonna sing full volume. They're gonna kind of shy away from the mic. So try and keep whoever you're listening to at the top, but don't lose all the other instruments. So go through, sound check each of them in that point. Again, vocals, make sure you're singing full volume, even if it's not the part you can actually sing during the service. And then once you've done that, you can, front of house guy, you can put the band back underneath, listen to the vocals individually, the vocals together, the vocals with the band. And now, if you're happy and they're happy, now you can go into rehearsal and you've kind of gone through all these things. Now again, this sounds like a lot of stuff when I explain it like this. But let's say you had a rehearsal on Wednesday and you're doing this on Sunday morning. You're gonna fly through this because you've already done it all. But now, if there is a bad cable somewhere or a bad battery or whatever, you're gonna catch it so much easier because you are just flying through that stuff, but now no one can say that you didn't check everything, and it's gonna just make your life a whole lot easier. Finally, the most important thing is that you're consistent. No matter what order you do things in, do it the same way each time, so there's no confusion. It's gonna be the same for you, the same for the band, the same for the vocalist, and then it's gonna be way faster. You're gonna fly through things, and you're gonna have a really good rehearsal because of it. Again, this is Chad from Ascension Worship. I hope this has been helpful for you and your team. Come back here every Tuesday for new information.